And joining us in studio today, again, Andrew McGrath, here to talk about sports. Drew, what's going on, man?
Not much. Long weekend, basically.
Yeah. So Drew and I went to the Niagara Falls Americans' first home game of the season on Friday. And then Drew went again on Sunday. I couldn't go, but as sponsors of the Americans, All Western New York Radio has 2 tickets per game, so sometimes I'm going to go with Drew, sometimes Drew's going to go without me, and sometimes I'm probably going to go without Drew. But Friday night's game was a lot of fun. First game of the season, we ended up, through a series of circumstances, ended up with VIP seats that we weren't originally supposed to have, but nice view from the VIP seats.
Yeah, it was a nice view. Yeah, it was weird though. So like some of the parts of like certain plays, like we really couldn't see though because of those big black poles.
Right.
Yeah. So other than that, it was fine.
But the VIP seats at the Americans game, basically right behind home plate. So we got to see pretty much everything. And there was a lot going on. So obviously there's the game. But then I feel like in between almost every inning there was some sort of a skit or a musical number or whatever. There were kids singing. The Niagara Falls High School band played. There were some girls with pom-poms.
I think it was Grand Island's dance team or something like that.
They really seemed to go out of their way to make it a family experience, and it was very cool.
Yeah, it was we went to opening day last year, right? The home opener or whatever. Yeah, and I thought this home opener was better than last year's.
I agree.
So,
well, obviously last year was kind of their first year.
Yeah.
Not really, but kind of their first year, and so they learned some things from that, and they did some changes. And, overall a very good time. The kids singing, there was one group of kids, they were like kindergartners or something. They were amazing. Mm-hmm. And then there was another group of kids that were maybe in like 3rd, 4th grade.
I think so, yeah.
Not quite as amazing.
No.
The high school band was pretty decent.
Yeah, and they were playing some good music, too.
They really were. So that was pretty cool. And then the game itself...
kind of lackluster, but,
So, from what we understand, sitting in front of us was a guy whose son was on the team, and he had said to us that, they've only been playing together for a few days. So, obviously, they need to, get their teamwork going. But some of those throws were just...
Yeah, so he said everybody got here from their respective college teams June 1st.
Right. Which was only basically a few days
and then
before
they had
the first game was on the 4th.
Yeah, so they had the one game, so they had 2 days of practice, and then, a game, and then probably, a travel day with a late practice, and then that game Friday.
Right.
So,
but it was a cool gig. $10 a ticket, basically, for normal seats, $15 for VIPs. Now, we've got the season tickets, so we don't have to worry about that. We just show up with our tickets. But... for $10, man, it's kind of hard to beat. And then, to top it off, I got the big-ass nachos.
Yes.
So, I don't remember what... It's some sort of deluxe nachos. And it says it comes in like a helmet. Well, I'm thinking like the old school, Dairy Queen ice cream helmets.
Yeah, the small helmet. Right.
But no, this was like a regular-size helmet. It fits on my head. Absolutely filled with nachos and then doused in nacho cheese and some sort of a chili sauce or whatever. It was great at the time, but I did not finish it. Also, I paid for it later. So I paid for it twice. It was $14 when I first bought it, which honestly, the hat by itself is $10. So it's basically $4 for more nachos than I could possibly eat.
Yeah.
And then I did, again, pay for it a few hours later.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen with nachos.
Yeah, and... honestly, the prices, though, when you look at them and everything like that, they're not really that bad, except for the one that's kind of crazy is the pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $2.50 to $3 for a slice. But, it's a game.
Yeah.
It's a game, so it's
I feel like that's really not bad for, a baseball game. You go to Coca-Cola Salem Field, or, you go to Highmark Stadium, or even Key Bank Center. You're paying, $5-6 for a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And it's not as good. This was Sammy's Pizza. You don't like Sammy's Pizza?
I'm not a fan.
Really? All right. I kind of grew up on Sammy's Pizza, but among other Niagara Falls pizzas. Niagara Falls, home of several different amazing pizzas. So then
that kind of is the same thing with Western New York as a whole. Like,
True, no doubt. So then Saturday I had other things to do. So you went to the game with our buddy DeMario
on Sunday.
On Sunday, and I wasn't there. I know you guys ended up kind of having to leave early because it rained, and you're like made out of sugar or whatever. You're afraid you're going to melt. I get that.
I was fine. It was just like he didn't have. So the only way we could actually get there was like we had to get there at like 2:45 because that was how our ride was.
Right.
Yeah. So then we just hung out until 3, and then the game started at 4:05.
Right.
So yeah, and then I think the rain started coming in around like about like 5:15ish, and then it was like all right. And then it ended up actually pouring pretty good. So
how did the team look, though? I mean, compared to Friday's game.
It's still sloppy.
Yeah. They still got 40-some games to go to get it right.
Yeah, the other team looked horrible though.
Really,
Jamestown.
The Jamestown
bad.
Tarp Skunks. The teams in this league have some really interesting names.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the full box score. They had like 8 errors, Jamestown, and. Yeah, it was a lot of walks, and so it wasn't a very well played game.
So the Jamestown Tarp Skunks, there's the Niagara Falls Americans. That's a fairly normal. The Auburn Doubledays, all right, kind of cool. Elmira Pioneers.
So our Auburn Doubledays, there was somebody that's in I forgot the name of the guy, but he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. His last name is Doubleday.
Right. We got the Batavia Muck Dogs. That's another very interesting name.
They were affiliated with the Philadelphia Phillies at one time. I don't know if they still are.
Right. And then the Niagara Ironbacks. I have no idea what an Ironback is, but the Niagara Ironbacks, they play in St. Catharines. So it's kind of like the Niagara Falls, St. Catharines team.
The Canada version of,
And so now 4 games in, we're 4-0.
Yeah.
I mean the Americans are 4-0.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like later in the year, obviously, I think probably like within the next like week or so, they'll probably be like be able to have more practices and everything like that, clean up a lot of the issues. And then I guess there was the head coach of the team won a championship with the team. It's kind of similar with I think just in a different league last year. They won a championship, so seems like he has a pedigree that he's won like 3 different championships with that other team.
Right.
So, yeah.
And he's still coaching that other team.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's coaching us and the Buffalo
Dynamite or something like that.
I don't remember. But yeah, coaching a team in Buffalo. So I mean, and like he also sells insurance. Like he's not even like a full-time coach. So it's kind of interesting to see, how this level of baseball.
And one of the assistant coaches, his name is Bill Cordero. He was actually a professional baseball player for the Montreal Expos. He played for like 5 or 6 teams total.
Right.
So yeah.
Now, Cordero is the other coach that was added on Friday, correct?
Yes.
So they had a coaching staff for Wednesday's game, the opening game of the season, and then Friday they were like, "Oh look, we have new coaches." And I don't really know what happened, but obviously that's not a thing that normally happens.
Yeah,
you don't normally change your coaching staff out after one game.
I think what it was is the other coaches were just
placeholders.
Yeah, because I think there might have been where they had obligations where they couldn't get until the Friday game.
Huh.
So.
And then, of course, you go out and do anything in Western New York, you're going to run into people you know. I specifically at least ran into Niagara Falls Mayor Bob Rustino and talked to him. He's going to come on the show. Not sure exactly when. I got to call his secretary and get all that set up. But that'll be fun. We'll get Bob in here.
Yeah. Wonder what that conversation
Don't do that. Why would you do that?
Wonder what that conversation will be about.
Drew is tapping on the desk in front of his microphone, as if the microphone doesn't pick up every little noise.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah. All right, so that's baseball.
Yeah.
The Bisons continue to do whatever it is the Bisons are doing, and to be honest, between you and I can't tell what it is. They're winning some games. They're losing some really badly. They lost one 18-0 to Syracuse last week.
Yeah.
18-0.
Yeah. And then, the Yankees-Red Sox played this weekend. Red Sox won 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So that's like the Evil Empire and the Junior Evil Empire.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. On the football front, the James Cook thing continues to be interesting. I read something about it either yesterday or this morning. I don't remember which because the days blend. That basically said like things are not looking better at all.
I think it's stalled. Talks at least. I don't think anything's going to happen this year. But we'll see what happens because tomorrow through Thursday is mandatory minicamp.
Right.
So, and if he doesn't show up, it's $50,000 a day fine. So
we'll see what happens. I don't know.
I think he might report, but not say he's going to do something, just so this way he doesn't get fined the $50K
right.
each day.
Right. So. I don't know. I'm sure so I don't get fined.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. We talked about that relatively extensively last week, but I did see an interesting take on it that basically blames Allen because his contract is so much that they can't afford to pay other players, and I'm just not buying that.
So I guess if you look at the percentage-wise, it is at the moment, but the way how contracts are going and the way the salary cap is expanding every year and everything like that, his contract in the next 2-3 years is probably going to be cheap.
Right.
So it's just trying to weather this storm that we got from the next couple of years. But yeah,
I don't know. So Drew, Friday night I went to the casino late at night, and now Friday. There was a concert. We talked about this last week. There was a Buddy Guy concert, and I was thinking about going to that concert. I did not end up going. And now, from the people that I talked to that had gone, it was a great show. But based on the interactions that I had at the casino late Friday night, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go because I ran into some of the most self-absorbed, stupid, horrible people that I have ever run into at the casino. Now, I don't go to the casino every day, but I go at least once a week, sometimes a couple times a week, and typically run into amazing people. However, I have noticed lately that I must have an invisible sign on me that says, please talk to me. Mm-hmm. Because when I go to the casino, I want to have a beer, I want to have a cigarette, and I want to play Keno or poker or whatever. I just want to play my game and kind of let the world wash away from me. But lately, every time I go, whoever's sitting next to me decides that they absolutely need to tell me their life story. I hear about their dad. I hear about, the time they were arrested. And they were all arrested, by the way. And it's just every time I go to the casino lately, I end up sitting next to somebody who just wants to talk forever. Same happened when I went Friday night. So I was sitting next to this guy, Mark, maybe, Mike. I don't know. It's something that started with an M. He's from Pittsburgh, and he had never been to the Falls before. And he's going on and on about, he's 53 years old. He's never been to the Falls. He's having a great time, blah, blah, blah. But his buddy had gotten kicked out of the casino for such and such. Now, it's fairly difficult to get kicked out of the casino.
Yeah, you either got to steal or physically get in a physical altercation.
Well, it was the latter. It was the physical altercation. So his buddy got kicked out of the casino, was back at their hotel, and his buddy called him and wanted him to come back to the hotel. Now, my new best friend, Mark, handed me the phone, and he's like, talk to my friend, and his friend is like, can you get him back to this hotel? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I give the phone back. I'm like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out the front door. You're going to turn left. You walk 2 blocks, and you're there. Basically, he was staying at the Wyndham on the corner of 4th and Niagara Falls. What is that? Rainbow Boulevard.
Yeah.
It is literally 2 blocks, door to door.
Yeah, it's like a 3-minute walk.
Yeah. Well, I told him it was 5, right?
3. Worst.
No, right. So there's a guy sitting on the other side of him who's like, oh, you don't want to walk, you'll get mugged. And so I'm like, no, he won't. And he's like, oh yeah, he will. He's like, there's all the crime out there. And I'm like, really, there's not. I was like, when you walk out the door, there will probably be 2 people who will try to hit you up for money. And then the other guy is like, and if you don't have it, they'll stab you. And I'm like, no, they won't. So he's just going on and on about what a cesspool of crime Niagara Falls is. And I said to him, I was like, where are you from? And he's like, Cattaraugus. And I'm like, well, listen, I have lived here my whole life. I was like, I assure you that is not what happens here.
Right. And for the casino being here and everything like that, which one of the main concerns
was crime, sure. Yeah, going back 30 years or whatever before they opened.
I think it was it's been like 25 years almost now.
Before they opened, crime was a concern.
There's very, very little. Like, I think maybe one thing happens.
Not that there's none, but there is very little considering. Now, there is
one kind of significant thing happens maybe once a year, maybe.
Right.
That's about it.
There's a lot of panhandling, but what are you going to do?
Right.
For the most part, I have found that the people that are panhandling are very respectful. They say, hey, buddy, I'm starving to death and I have 4 kids. Can you give me $10 so I can get a sandwich or whatever? And I just always tell them the same thing. Sorry, I don't have any money. If I'm going in, I say, sorry, I need the money to gamble. And if I'm coming out, I say, sorry, they took it all. And usually that's true, by the way. But yeah, and then they're like, oh, okay. Every once in a while, we run into one that, doesn't like your answer and they'll call you names or whatever. But that's about the word.
Or they'll keep on asking you.
I have never had a physical confrontation.
No.
Near the casino.
No.
And I've never seen anyone get mugged. I've never seen anyone get shot.
No.
I've definitely never seen anyone get stabbed.
No.
But I got kind of angry with this dude because I'm like, this poor guy's here from Pittsburgh and he's going to go home and he's going to say, oh, I had fun, but it's not safe there.
Right.
Because some guy from Cattaraugus County who probably commits crimes with sheep decided to tell him that it wasn't safe here. I don't know. So I was a little upset about that. But that was just me. Usually have a great time at the casino. Lately, though, people do definitely want to talk to me, and I try to make that happen as little as possible. The bartender that was working Friday night suggested that maybe I should get a shirt made that says "Don't talk to me," and I'm like, but I feel like that would backfire because then they'd talk to me about my shirt. I don't know.
Yeah, plus people don't read signs and shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
Bumper stickers, they don't read it.
Yeah.
People don't read anymore.
I don't know.
They just read to read instead of actually obtaining information. So,
yeah. I don't know. So that was my Friday night. Then Saturday, did a bunch of yard work. Sunday we had some people over. We played game night. You ever play Michigan Rummy?
No.
I was unfamiliar with it until I started dating my wife. But it's a thing that she likes to do. You put pennies in a pot, and if you get a certain hand, you take the pennies out.
Oh, you were telling me about it. Yeah.
It's not an unfun game, but it's unique. We have a lot of other games that I would prefer to play, but happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, no, I've just played regular Rummy or Gin.
Yeah.
Rummy. Yeah.
While we were doing that, or in between games or something, I don't remember, I was having a conversation with a couple friends of hers, and they were saying that it was on Friday, somebody was found dead sitting next to the canal. Like, they think that they had a heart attack or something. Maybe this was Saturday. Anyway, one day, somebody was found dead sitting next to... They think that they had a heart attack and, sat down and then just died. And then another day, somebody jumped into the canal. And then, just earlier today, I got a press release from Lockport Police Department. Another person jumped into the canal and was found dead. So I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on in Lockport.
Niagara County as a whole, mental health concerns
without a doubt
are a risk.
We had a news.
They've been higher than they've ever been in years.
We had a news story the other day about the town of Tonawanda police were called to a location because somebody had a gun, and I don't know if he was threatening to. A lot of times these police reports are sketchy on purpose. They don't like to give out information for, honestly, very good reasons. So I can't tell if he was threatening to harm himself or he was threatening to harm other people. But they showed up, eventually talked him into, putting his gun down, and then took him to ECMC's psychiatric unit. It does seem as though the world is, just crazy and getting crazier.
Yeah, I heard that because somebody told me from the mission that there's a lot of mental health that is being coming up that it's been crazy in Niagara County.
Right.
Just as a whole throughout society, but like Niagara County, it's like numbers are like record highs that it's ever been. So
Drew works at a homeless shelter, by the way. He helps to input the people that show up that need places. And we've talked on the show before about the fact that while it's a good job, it's not the job you want, and you've been looking for a job.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your last job hunting experience?
No.
Okay. Never mind then. Mm-hmm. All I can say is
the only thing I'll say,
a law that you cannot mislead people in a job posting.
That's all I was saying. Like, and Indeed should be able to cross-reference these postings and make sure they're actually 100% legit.
But not just Indeed. I mean,
right.
I'm not a huge fan of laws for the sake of laws, but it really should be illegal to get someone to apply for a job. And then once they do and come in for an interview for said job, you go, oh, well, it's really more like this. Oh, we've got a job for, general manager of a Fortune 500 company. It pays $160,000 a year. And then you get there and they're like, well, it's actually more like assistant manager of the janitorial department in this store. And it's not $160,000 a year for you. That's what everybody combined makes. You make about $10. And somehow or another, that's considered okay. Now, we as a society could, do something to prevent it, but I really do think that there should be some sort of a law that, makes that illegal.
Yeah, there should be some sort of safeguard protections.
Well, you can't bait and switch on a store, right? You can't have an ad in the newspaper or, whatever that says, we've got the new PS5 for $100, and then you get there and it's actually the PS4 and it's $300. That is illegal.
That's false advertisement.
Right. But for some reason or other, false advertisement when it comes to jobs is okay. And then so many jobs, and this isn't necessarily from Drew's experience, but I have known so many job postings. They post the job with no intention of filling it because they have to for some reason or another, because maybe they got a grant or a loan or something, and part of the grant or loan requires them to hire for positions, but they have no intention of actually hiring, so they post the job, and then when you get there, you're like, we're not really hiring for this. Or, you interview, and then they call you 3 weeks later, and they're like, we've decided not to fill it. And it's like, well, thanks for wasting my time.
Right.
Your time, not just yours, but everybody's time has a certain amount of value. And I feel like if you were going to have a job interview and bring somebody in for a position that either doesn't exist or isn't the job that you said it was, there should be some sort of a penalty payable directly to the person whose time you wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like, it happened. It is what it is. But at the same point, though, it's like it seems like these companies are saying they're hiring, but they're not really hiring. They're just taking applications and trying to get we'll keep your information in our database for 6 months.
It's the whole nobody wants to work anymore thing, right?
Right.
Going back to the casino, I know that
they're short-staffed all the time.
They're short-staffed in every department, all over the place, all the time, and they say they're hiring, but I almost never see new people. So clearly, they're not going out of their way to hire.
And when they do bring in people don't want to work there because the pay is horrible, and also there's all these conditions and rules and everything, and it's just like.
I mean, obviously, every job comes with conditions and rules, and everybody would like to make more than whatever they're making. My bigger problem, rather than the turnover I get to an extent.
Yeah.
But the turnover is almost exclusively with the new people. People that have been there stay there. So there must be something good about it, right? But my big gripe is that they know they need help, and they slow walk that process as much as human. We've both known people that have been hired at the casino, and the process of getting hired, you need a letter signed by the Pope. You need to have a patch of grass from Highmark Stadium. It is nearly impossible to get a job.
Yeah, you need a Purple Heart from a president.
Right? Yeah, it is very difficult to actually get
And then and then just the time and paperwork that you got to go through and everything, and then the time process that paperwork takes to process and everything.
Look, some of that I do understand. Like,
sure,
because it's a casino, there are different rules and things that they do have to follow from the state. You know, if you're a felon convicted of,
theft, obviously, or burglary,
the casino's not going to want you.
Right.
So I get that there is, part of that, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just seems more egregious to me.
Right, and it seems like the process is so elongated time wise.
Right.
It's just like wow. It's just like, and then all that time that you're doing this and you're going through this process, and then by the time you start and you're going through the job and everything like that, and then when you're figuring out, the hours that you got to work, the days you got to work, and the pay. All of that, like, with everything you've already gone through, like, it's like a lot of, I get why, there's that turnover, like there is.
Right.
So.
I don't know. So that's that. Drew, is it your turn to ask a question or mine?
No, I did the questions last week.
All right.
Remember, we were discussing the Happy Gilmore and the
Right.
sports
I thought so. So I do have a question in mind. All right, so let me walk you through my question process. My first thought was, if there were an event in something that happened in Buffalo sports history that you could change, what event would that be? Then it occurred to me that everyone would pick one of two. Most people would pick one of two. So you're either changing wide right or no goal. Those are the two big ones, right?
I think so, yeah.
And now I'm pretty sure I know your answer. And I do think that most people in Western New York would pick wide right. But I'm going to ask you anyway, mainly because I want to have the discussion, and I really want to get input from people on X and Blue Sky and Facebook and et cetera. So if you could pick one event in Buffalo history, and it doesn't have to be wide right or no goal, but I'm fairly certain those are the two that most people are going to, like, maybe it's home run throwback. Maybe it's, who knows? For some reason, maybe you were at that game against Tennessee and that event, would have changed your life or whatever. But one Buffalo sporting event that you can change the outcome of it's a single play, not just a game, but a single play, what would it be?
I would say our AFC Championship game this past year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why so? Walk me through it.
Okay, so
and what play? Like
the tush push play that we had, that the final one that got stopped.
That quote unquote got stopped.
Yeah, I actually thought it was short.
Yeah,
I don't think from the angle we had and the angles that they really tried to show us, it didn't look like it. It was a possibility he got it. It was kind of like that coin toss 50-50.
Right.
Based off of whatever they called on the field was going to stand no
now,
matter
similarly,
what.
we could go 2 years ago and we pooched that kick instead of kicking it deep.
Right.
That's another one, I suppose.
Yeah. And so for me, why? Because earlier in that game, Josh Allen did a roll, basically a quarterback sweep with a lineman pulling in front of him.
Right.
He got, one was 6 yards, and I think the other one was either like 11 or 15 yards. So when we went to do that, they've already stopped it twice previously.
Right.
They couldn't stop that play. And when we beat them in the regular season, it was kind of like one of those things, too, where Allen kind of did his own thing with blockers in front of him and scored that huge touchdown, which basically got him the MVP.
So for you, it's that over wide right.
Yeah, because this was our the one real team that we had, though, that wasn't expected.
All right.
Where we were starting to get really good, and then we had that great year. We had the great defense. We had the K-Gun offense. So it was like, Buffalo was should have won that game.
Gotcha.
And Buffalo was the favorite going into that game.
Right.
So.
All right, so most of you who have listened to the show for, an episode or longer know that I am a hockey fan. And Drew, of course, knows that I am a hockey fan, more so than football. Now, I love football, but I prefer hockey. Hockey is what I grew up on.
I figured you would pick hockey. I'm waiting to hear what it would be.
So here's the thing, though. For me, no goal was huge. However, I will allow no goal to stand, but I want to fix wide right. Believe it or not, I'm picking wide right over no goal, and here's my thinking.
Wow. Okay.
One, so the other plays that we've mentioned, no goal, your tush push, if those plays are changed, we still haven't won anything. If wide right goes through those uprights, we won the Super Bowl. And we have that, and it's banked. And who knows what happens after that? Really, who knows what happens to the Bills after that? Maybe we go on to win 4 in a row instead of lose 4 in a row. Maybe it changes the perception that people have of the city of Buffalo. Maybe it really changes our sports identity. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what I do know is that at 50 years old, with the exception of the Bandits and the Bisons, we have not won a championship.
No.
And now,
so since the '60s when the Bills, right?
That's before
I think
me.
It was like '65.
Like in my 53 years, we have not won a championship, and at least that would give us one. And then a lot of the shit that people talk about Buffalo, they just couldn't say anymore. You know, it would make it moot. Now, I don't know that the city of Buffalo or Western New York would be respected, but at least it takes away that one bit of ammo, and we can at least have, you know, Super Bowl 25, you know, champion hats and T-shirts and whatever. So even though for me, I'm a hockey fan and I really want to see the Sabres do good, if I had to pick one, it would be wide right, because even if that no goal was called no goal,
there was still would have been a Game 7.
Well, that game wouldn't have been over. Like we would still have to score.
Right.
And,
yeah. Right. And that was game. Right. That was game 6. So we would have to win that game.
Right. Exactly.
And then
so that guarantees
battle back.
Something. So my thought process is that wide right. If we switch that, we're guaranteed a championship trophy of some sort.
Okay. I'm actually going to name a hockey one.
All right.
Well, it's not really one game or one play. To me, I thought we wasted a huge opportunity when that year when we won like the President's Cup, where we had the most points, where we had like Briere and Drury and Vanek and all that.
And then we let them all go.
Oh, we retained Vanek, and like let Briere go and Drury go. And I thought that was a wasted opportunity.
I would not disagree with that.
And now, I thought for that team and the franchise and everything like that, except for the times when we had Hasek as the goalie and everything like that, that was probably, to me, our best chance of actually winning it. Because we had good offense, we had good defense, and we had good goaltending. So it was like a complete
and it was fun to watch. That was a team that, you know, no matter what the score was or how much time was left, you felt like we still had a chance. Like, oh, we're down 4-1 with 3 minutes to go in the third. It's okay. We still have a chance.
Right, or we're up by 1 goal, and then all of a sudden we're now up by like 4.
Right,
and it's like
that was a very fun team to watch.
Yeah, so I thought that was probably like the one chance. Like if that curse of Buffalo was going to be, that would have been it.
So what say you, listeners? What would you change? What one play would you change in Buffalo sports history? Maybe it's wide right. Maybe it's no goal. Maybe it's home run throwback. Maybe it's the tush push that he's talking about.
The 13-second game.
Maybe it's the kick. That's what I was talking about. Maybe it's the kick from that 13-second game. What one thing would you change to make it go in our favor, and why? Let us know on our socials. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Blue Sky. We're on YouTube. I think that's it. We're on Instagram too. We're everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, we're all over the streets like your favorite sneaker. But for today, we're out of here because Drew and I have got to part ways because I've got Karma Queen coming up, and then then that's going to wrap the show up. So, Drew, as always, thank you.
All right, thanks, son.